welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, New Orleans' very own opera star, Sarah Jane McMahon, who has been performing, of course, all over the world and has a brand new CD out and has a concert this weekend. Good to see you.
You too,
Welcome
Peggy.
back to our
Thank you.
table. Yes, indeed. And Poppy Tooker, host of the weekly program Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hi, Miss Poppy.
Hi, Peg.
Hello. John Kemp, art columnist for Louisiana Life magazine and many other national publications. Hey, John, welcome. And theater critic Alan Smason, editor of the online Crescent City Jewish News. Hello, Mr. Allen.
Hi there.
But of course, as always, we kick off with Miss Poppy.
Well, do you hear the sound of the papa? Do you feel like doing the chicken dance?
Always.
Oh, I know that about you. Well, the Deutsches Haus Oktoberfest is kicking off October 11th, 12th, 18th, 19th, 25th, and 26th. Of course, for the second year, it's out in Rivertown. It's Fridays, 4 p.m. till 11 p.m., Saturdays, 1 p.m. till 11 p.m., and it's all the great fun and food that everybody can always expect at that Deutsches Haus incredible Oktoberfest. But there's so many more Oktoberfests going around town that I think are pretty interesting. And it's very counterintuitive. You wouldn't think of going to the Canal Street Bistro, where, of course, the famous chef is Guillermo Peters, who, of course, is known for his delicious Mexican food.
Right.
So you don't think of going there for an Oktoberfest, except, you see, his father was from Hamburg, Germany. So he grew up with these very traditional German roots. And so he, too, is celebrating Oktoberfest every Friday and Saturday through October 26th with delicious dinners like Wiener Schnitzel with sauerkraut, mushroom cognac sauce, and spätzle. There's braised veal shank with carrots. Yes, so there is the Wiener Schnitzel. Yum. And see the spätzle, you know, that's a kind of a little German noodle. And there's braised veal shank with carrots, parsley, and mushroom sauce with mashed potatoes. Braised pork shank marinated with orange, and achote, which is kind of a red coloring and flavoring, with red cabbage, roasted fingerling potatoes, and German mustard. And then, of course, for dessert, you can always count on apple Bavarian tort and Linzer tort. So, hey, weekends, Oktoberfest at the Canal Street Bistro. And then every year, I think it's always particularly delicious to drive to Middendorf's and celebrate Oktoberfest with Karen and Horst Pfeiffer. So this is happening every Wednesday and Thursday through November. Look how, isn't that just hysterically adorable? That's what greets you outside the door. And this happens only Wednesdays and Thursdays through November 7th. And this year, for a little added papa, Horst's brother Heinz will be making sporadic special appearances in his lederhosen, playing his accordion. So, papa. And we've got some beautiful food photos that include a smoked pork chop, pork belly, sausage, sauerkraut, roasted potatoes, and pretzel. And of course, they have apple strudel with vanilla ice cream for dessert. Each week, the menu changes, and next week's menu is pot roast in a red wine sauce with red cabbage and house-made German noodles and pretzel again. And so it's really fun. Take an excursion for Oktoberfest to Middendorf's. And, of course, there's a place in New Orleans, thank goodness, because there is no Cobb's anymore. So now you can still have German Oktoberfest every day on Conti Street at the Jaeger House. And they serve continuously 7 days a week, 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. And we've got some also fabulous photos of their yummy German potato pancakes, their beef liver dumpling soup. Sounds a little more appetizing as Leber Nodel soup, but yeah, I bet you it's yummy if you love the liver. I do. Okay, testimony. There's also pork shank with potato dumpling, Wiener Schnitzel, there's sauerbraten, and of course these are things that are on the menu there all the time. So it's not just for Oktoberfest, but if you're in the mood, go to the Jaeger House. And then, for something completely different, Yakima lady, Miss Linda Green, is hosting her first ever pop-up restaurant, venture, and it's going to be happening Sunday from 5 until 8:30 at Restaurant Fatouche in the Healing Center on St. Claude. The Yakimen will be available in beef, shrimp, a combo of beef and shrimp or duck, but she's also going to be serving barbecued ribs, smothered turkey wings, she made the point to say, with tips. So we're not skimping on the tips. The turkey wings come with them, mac and cheese and collard greens.
Oh, wow.
Sunday at Fatouche on St. Claude.
We need to have her on. It'd be fun.
She's such a character.
Really good visit. Thank you.
You don't go away hungry when you eat a German
Oh,
meal.
no.
Not at all. So, Mr. John, art for art's sake, very big weekend and Saturday night. You know.
Right, wear cool clothing, good shoes, and an umbrella. But there are 44 venues around the city, primarily in the Arts District and also along Magazine Street. And when I was looking at the schedule, several of them popped into mind. First one is at the Contemporary Arts Center. It's a joint project with the New Orleans Museum of Art. These are photographs by Edward Bertinsky, a Canadian photographer who's traveled the world taking these magnificent aerial photographs of waterways, cities, and how water has shaped culture and how humans have adapted their lives and have shaped the landscape around waterways. Wonderful thing. There's 60 oversized images, 50 are at the CAC, and 10 are at the New Orleans Museum of Art. Plus, at the Arthur Roger Gallery also has a number of them too that you can actually purchase there. And while you're at the Arthur Roger Gallery, there's another Canadian artist who's there. His name is John Hartman. And like Bertinsky, Hartman travels the world photographing cities from above, aerial shots, and then paints them, so they're very expressionistic paintings, and he has some great images of New Orleans. One is above New Orleans from the Harvey Canal, and he also goes down into the areas of Bayou Lafourche and all that area. So you get these wonderful photographs, and he travels the world doing this. Over at the Ogden Museum, there's an artist I wasn't familiar with. Her name is, that's Gina Phillips, who lives in the Holy Cross area now. But she is originally from Kentucky, who moved here after Katrina and started off as a painter and also used an assemblage artist. But she does these wonderful fabric art. And she has the entire 5th floor gallery up there with this wonderful woven work. In fact, it fills the entire side of one wall. It's an autobiographical piece showing her living in poverty in the hills of Kentucky, and then as she grew, and her grandmother, who was a folk artist herself and also a musician. It's magnificent work. And then she has one of, Fats Domino, kind of walking through the battle scene of New Orleans, and also one rising from Katrina, sort of, Jesus rising from the dead sort of thing above the crowd. Really great. And here's another little gallery on Camp Street. The first time I've really talked about this one is Martine Chasson's gallery at 727 Camp. There's another New Orleans artist there by the name of Tim Hope. Now, Tim is a New Orleans, been here, of course, all of his life, but his paternal grandfather was on the children's train. Remember that the orphans came out of New York?
The orphans train.
The orphans train.
Yeah.
And sort of lost touch with his heritage. He had no idea who his grandfather's family was. He was always on this quest, but he lost most of his family records in Katrina, books, photographs, and everything else. But he creates this one really nice compositions going through old family albums and extracting photographs and superimposes these images on sort of fantastical background, these imaginary images and landscapes that he places them in. Really good work. Traveling uptown, again, you have 22 locations, 22 venues there. One is the Garden District Gallery, and we've talked about that one before. It's the Poetry of Place. This is one of her group landscapes. She's invited 13 different landscape artists to participate in this. There's some really nice work. One is by Alan Flavin. He has several paintings in there. And Alan's that really world-acclaimed pastel painter. And most of his work is done in New Orleans and the New Orleans French Quarter. And he travels the world. Becky's in France right now giving a workshop. Travels the world painting scenes in Greece, the Mediterranean, Adriatic, but always comes back to New Orleans and paints the French Quarter. He just loves it. Another one is the Academy Gallery, which is the New Orleans Academy of Fine Art on Magazine Street. There are two artists there. One is Patch Somerville, who's a painter. Another is a North Shore plein air painter who goes out and paints on location. Her name is Mary Monk. And she does these wonderful landscapes, the marshes, and she's really developing as an artist. And she has some really street scenes in New Orleans, but also getting back into the marshes and seeing the sunsets with the silhouettes and the cypress and all that. She does really good work. And then finally on Magazine Street, another one popped into mind that I saw her work, Melissa Bonin, who is a little Cajun artist from Originally from New Iberia.
Oh, that's a
She lives in
pretty.
New Iberia.
Really
But
beautiful.
she's from Iberia, but she lives in Lafayette, goes back and forth, and has a gallery on Magazine Street. You look at her work, you think of sort of Alexander Drisdale, you know, that dreamlike, mossy look. And she has a show now there of all of her new work. Really good work. I like it very much. You know.
Lots of things. Thank you so much.
Lots of things. Of course, you had the big gala, of course, at the CAC that night. You know.
Yeah, so much going
Drinks,
on there. About
food,
4 or 5 shows,
Yeah, that's
plus
right.
an audio show as well, and DJ.
Yeah, there's always a good time there.
And I guess all this is weather permitting, huh? But
I was going to say, bring an umbrella.
yeah, the show must go on. Hopefully.
You'll make it. Just go from gallery to gallery, no problem. That's right.
All right. Thank you so much, John.
Sure.
Last week, we learned about the historic National Eucharistic Congress, and that was held here in New Orleans in 1938, 75 years ago, and we learned about the preparations that were involved in this. One very significant vestige from the event is still with us today, as Andres Calandria explains.
A bejeweled monstrance was created specifically for the Eighth National Eucharistic Congress held in New Orleans in October of 1938. This gathering of Roman Catholics who come together to honor the Eucharist has taken place in only a few American cities and internationally since the 1880s.
It's an object that holds the sacred host, the consecrated host, which is the body and blood of Christ. And so we believe that the vehicle that holds the body and blood of Christ should be of significant value to the extent that it gives honor to Christ and attracts the attention of people.
As the cries went out for donations to create the monstrance, it went to all the different parishes, and people submitted their jewelry. This was 1938, so the nation was still in part of the Depression. And when people didn't have money, but they wanted to be connected to the church, they would often give their jewels.
Made by a local jewelry store, Bernard and Gruning, this monstrance was created in 14-karat gold and contains 817 diamonds and 90 other precious stones.
People are very curious to be able to say, well, I know that my grandmother's diamonds or my mother's jewels are in there. And so it's an opportunity for people, I think, to connect. Whenever we display it, there's always great attention and reverence given to the monstrance.
The procession down Canal Street and the opening and closing masses held at City Park Stadium were among the most attended events of the Congress.
Student at Sacred Heart of Jesus Grammar School. I was a 10-year-old altar boy. We altar boys from Sacred Heart were all part of the many programs that were part of the liturgies. There was one great liturgy, one great procession that took place down Canal Street. It was quite an event. Hundreds of altar boys in our cassocks and surplices and walking in a procession to City Park Stadium for this great main program.
This rare footage conveys the magnitude of the event.
The Mass in City Park was a huge event. It wasn't Tad Gormley Stadium at the time. It was called City Park Stadium. There were about 65,000 people in the stadium. There were just people from all walks of life, both religious and laity, there to celebrate that Mass. The altar was the only one that incorporated what we think about in New Orleans, the ironwork from balconies. The canopy was 75 feet tall. There was a dome. There was the crucifix, of course, that was hanging, that was made out of cypress with the corpus on either side, so you saw it from wherever you were in the stadium.
While the altar no longer exists, there is actually a vestige from it. A section of its decorative ironwork can be seen atop a gate next to the Botinelli building on Canal Street in Mid-City. A book was published by the Archdiocese documenting the Congress. And of course, the Archdiocese still has the monstrance. All are reminders of a special celebration that took place over 75 years ago in New Orleans, a city that can both be spirited and spiritual.
And the monstrance will be on display above the altar starting tomorrow through May 25th, 2014 at St. Mary's Chapel. We know of it as St. Mary's Italian, right? Located in the old Ursuline Convent. That's at 1100 Charter Street. And the Eighth National Eucharistic Congress emblem, as well as 6 specially made candlesticks, can also be seen on the altar in the chapel. And the Convent Museum will be hosting the exhibit, The Archbishop Wore Combat Boots, The Life and Ministry of Archbishop Philip M. Hannon. Go to details for that to the, of course, oldursulineconvent.org website. And now we turn to Miss Sarah Jane. We're so glad that she's with us, and you've got a brand new CD out and a concert this weekend.
Yes, I sure do. I recorded this album back in March, and I'm so excited that it's finally done and it's released, and I'm having an official CD release concert on Sunday at Trinity Episcopal Church on Jackson Street at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Yes,
Yes.
so we'll be showing that information in just a second. But Blessings and Silver Linings, where did the title come from?
Well, it's a new collection of old favorites of the American Songbook. So it's songs like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, La Vie en Rose, Do You Know What It Means to Miss New Orleans, I'll Be Seeing You, Can't Help Loving That Man of Mine. It's just a bunch of songs that I grew up listening to on my grandparents' record player, funny enough, when we had Sunday dinner. And it's not opera, but I know not everyone loves opera as much as I do. So this is a taste of kind of the crossover work that I do as well.
Well, you've also played in many, and maybe some people aren't aware of this, many musical comedies too.
Correct.
Locally
correct.
and nationally too.
And I love the fact that I've been so fortunate to kind of do a little bit of everything. It keeps my career really interesting.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear an excerpt, and this will be Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Correct.
Let's listen to Sarah
When
Jane.
all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain.
And we should point out, once again, Sunday, 5 p.m. You know, you rarely hear the introduction to that song. Isn't that
Right.
funny? I think everybody's expecting immediately hearing that, but a Sunday at 5 o'clock. Now, it was almost like this is your life, Sarah Jane, with those photographs.
I know.
But one in particular I want you to talk about, and that's playing the Mikado. We have good news in case folks don't know.
Correct. Well, I'm preparing for my biggest role yet as mom in actually 4 weeks, which is a little scary and exciting at the same time. But that's what I also say about the concert. It should be very entertaining on Sunday, watching a 36-week pregnant woman sing. But I'm feeling good now, but I was not feeling well in the beginning. And when I was performing in Kansas City, I was very happy. I was singing Yum Yum in the Mikado, and I was a geisha, and my face was painted really white because I was so sick running on stage, and it's a good thing I was supposed to be white, so they didn't know how bad I really looked without the makeup.
But you're feeling well now.
I feel great now.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Now, looking ahead, after do you know it's a girl or a boy?
We know it's a girl.
Okay,
yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
No name yet?
No,
Still working on
I
that?
think that's a game time decision.
And then now, and coming up, looking ahead in November, you'll be
Yes,
here?
I'm singing a concert just 3 weeks after my due date, knock on wood. The Irish tenor priests are coming back in town, and they'll be at Loyola, and they've asked me to sing with them again. So
And when is that, once again?
It's November 26th.
Okay, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Best of luck with everything. And we turn to Alan, man about town as always.
Right. I wanted to just mention a little bit about some of the Broadway happenings. Of course, Kristen Chenoweth is coming in tomorrow night, but The lights of Broadway and TV will burn brightly this Monday night because Jane Krakowski is coming along with Sirius XM radio star Seth Rudetsky to the New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts. They're going to be having one of the shows that Mark Cortali Productions is producing. Once again, it's important for everybody to know that this is a really important series. Not only is Jane going to be here, she's going to be interviewed by Seth, and then we'll be singing several of her songs, most notably from Grand Hotel and also from Nine. And of course, you remember, she was nominated in Grand Hotel for Outstanding Performance by a Featured Actress, and then eventually won that same award in Nine. You know, she is going to be there, and it's only $50 to start. If you want to be a VIP, you can pay $100, and there's some seats in between there, I think $75. But it's really worth it to be able to see this kind of series, see these kind of stars. Last year, we had Patti LuPone, and Patti is going to return next month with one show.
What a coup.
And then at the beginning of December, we're going to have fabled Charles Busch, whose work as a playwright and actor in New York has established him as a great star there. And of course, many of his works have been shown here in New Orleans. And of course, next year, we're going to have Christine Ebersol and Sutton Foster's going to return. It's going to be wonderful, but we need to support this important series. Please give thought to going there and giving Mark Cortali your vote of thanks by getting a seat. Okay. Let's move on to theater that is really being seen right now. Very compelling drama right now. Patient A. It tells the story of Kimberly Bergalis. That's a Florida girl who, you may recall, was the first known victim of clinical transmission of AIDS. Reportedly, she was infected by her dentist, Dr. David Acer. Now, again, she was not a likely victim of the disease because she had neither been a hemophiliac, an intravenous drug user, or had never been, according to her, intimate with any other sexual partner. She was an anomaly and became a poster girl for innocent AIDS victims. This particular play was commissioned by the parents of Bergalis to have Lee Blessing write this play about her tragically unfulfilled life. And the play is directed by C. Patrick Jandusa in the Loyola University production. Again, it stars Natalie Jones in the role of Bergalis, Austin Broussard as Lee, and Blaine Simon as Matthew, who plays the dentist, and a host of other characters. Again, the entire play runs about 70 minutes. It's really compelling. I will tell you that this titular role that Jones plays, she does so with wistfulness, with tenderness, and Blessing lets the audience know right off the fact that she's talking in flashback to her life. It's very interesting that Blessing actually puts himself into the drama. Again, I would recommend it very highly, but only a few seats remain, so try to make it if you can over there. Meanwhile, at the World War II Museum, at the Stage Door Canteen, Thanks for the Memories is going on. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be in the audience at one of the Bob Hope USO shows that went on from World War II until the first Gulf War? Well, Thanks for the Memories has Bill Johnson in the title role of Bob Hope, if you will. And it's a role he knows very well because he's been impersonating Bob Hope for many years in Las Vegas, where he lives. The talented local ensemble includes several of the Victory Bells, the rotating group of female performers who perform in a number of other Stage Door Canteen shows. There you have, right there, none other than Rebecca Nugent. And then, of course, Courtney Bowe and her husband, Buddy, who were celebrating his birthday. A cousin there. And then as the last of the Victory Bells was none other than Mandy Ridgedale. Again, they play a number of other roles. Ruth Wallace, Frances Langford, Betty Grable. Maggie George even has her hand playing Marlena Dietrich. Catherine McLean plays Judy Garland. And Mickey Rooney is played even by Clint Johnson. So again, I would recommend that. Also, not to be missed, Christina Perez as both the colorful Carmen Miranda and also New Orleans' own Dorothy Lamour. It's all choreographed very well, and I would recommend that very highly. Evening tickets are available, and if you want to check it out, Thanks for the Memories. The Bob Hope tour is at the Stage Door Canteen. It comes with the ability of getting a dinner or a brunch if you go on Sundays. Also, speaking about eating, I got to tell you about a very incredible event that's going to be coming up on Halloween night. Not to scare you off, but WIS Season of Good Taste is going to be having a dinner, and I'm going to be hosting along with Chef Jacques Saleun, who is at the Chateau de Lac Bistro on Metairie Road. The cost is $85 a person, inclusive. I just want to remind you that that is going to be going on, and we would love to have you. I believe it's going to be filet mignon. They're going to have French Provençal soup, and Poppy, you'd know what that is again. And then I think they have some sort of salad, and then the dessert looks absolutely scrumptious. It's some sort of a coffee and chocolate dessert with all kinds of coffee ice cream in there. Love it.
Thank you so much, Alan. And now it's time, though, for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight, we are featuring Reflections by Frank Giovingo. A native New Orleanian, Giovingo is a De La Salle High School alum and also attended LSU. He finds inspiration for his work in his love for hunting and fishing in Louisiana's wilderness. His current exhibit, Louisiana, a wetlands. Opens tomorrow evening. That's in conjunction with Art for Art's Sake. And that, of course, is at Objet Trouve. There's a reception from 6 to 9 at Objet Trouve on Magazine Street. And it will be running through November 30th. You can call 897-0566 for more information. A reminder that you can check out Steppin Out's online calendar at wyes.org. New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Christine Chatelaine gave us the names of the former Saint star who posed in a bridal gown with then Saints coach Mike Ditka, and the other Saints star who briefly dated a Kardashian. Both were traded to Miami. We're talking about Ricky Williams and Reggie Busch. Now, tonight's question. In honor of Sarah Jane, okay, the Grand March to this opera has often been used at local carnival balls. Name the opera and its composer. Send your answers to Steppin Out at wyes.org. Our prizes: a Louisiana Life magazine subscription, a gift certificate for Vianne's Tea House, that's of course offering a culinary and gourmet tea experience for two, a copy of the book Statuesque New Orleans by Ashley Merlin, and tonight we have WYS's Bob Fortenberry wearing the t-shirt Who Dat from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. Before we go to our picks, just very quickly, the reopening of the Sanger Theater is bittersweet for many of us because of the friends and family of Dr. Barry Henry. Dr. Henry passed away just recently, 4 days before the actual Sanger reopened. He helped save the theater's atmospheric theater design and spent years repairing and playing the theater's mighty Morton Wonder Organ. His efforts to preserve the Sanger mementos is credited with helping to guide its recent $52 million post-Katrina renovation. The pipe organ Dr. Henry loved is in need of restoration, and they're trying to raise money for that. He was a founding member of the Friends of the New Orleans Sanger, and they're planning a fundraiser in terms of selling bricks to raise money for this, the funds needed to restore it. So for more information, you can check that out, the Sanger's Mighty Morton Organ. There's a phone number we want to give you, too, for more information. You can call 658-0922. Now, our picks, Poppy.
If you've never been to Margarita Bergen's Round Table Lunch, it's this Wednesday coming up. Susan Larson, James Cobb, and me at the Royal Sonesta Hotel. And the Red Fishtival is back on for Sunday at the Dock in Slidell from noon till 6. It's going to be fun.
John.
Well, at the New Orleans Museum of Art, you have Gordon Parks, the African-American photographer, and his wonderful show on Harlem, 1948.
All right, thank you. Alan.
I wanted to thank Nola Cake Cafe for the lovely Sazerac cupcake that I've got out here.
Okay.
I also want to remind everybody about Savage and Limbo is going to be over at the Delgado Community College on the 3rd floor of the campus there. It'll be this week coming up.
Sarah Jane.
Of course, the album available on iTunes, the Catholic Bookstore, and my website, sarahjanemcmahon.com, and La Boheme in April. I'll be singing Rosetta.
They're great. And we've got the Gracias Crispin Cantata. That is on Sunday at the Sanger at 7 o'clock. And on Tuesday, we have Errol Laborde, who has, by the way, a new book out. And he has a book signing on Tuesday from 6 to 7:30, and that is at Garden District Books. And looking ahead to next week, there'll be the Steamboat Natchez Steamboat Stomp Music Festival. More about that next week. Thank you all very much. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Cathedral bells were tolling, and our hearts sang on. Was it the spell of Paris, or the April dawn? Who knows if we shall meet again?